Hello everyone. Today I'll be discussing a critical aspect of LCMS-MS method development, that is compound optimization. This is the first step in developing a robust and sensitive analytical method, and it forms the foundation for all subsequent optimization steps. So in method development workflow, we follow three main optimization stages. First is compound optimization, second is chromatography optimization, and third is source optimization. Today we'll focus specifically on compound optimization. The goal here is to maximize the signal intensity for our target analyte by finding the optimal MS-MS conditions. So before diving into optimization, we must understand what happens during ionization. Electrospray ionization generates ions by drawing and spraying sample solution at the tip of capillary tube where a high voltage of about 3 to 5 kilovolt is applied. This creates charged droplets that undergoes dissolution. Let's talk about ionization and how we calculate the mass of ions. When we ionize atoms or molecules, we either add or remove charged particles, which changes their mass. Let's look at both scenarios. In positive mode, for example, if we have a true mass of 100 daltons and we are adding H+, this gives us a target ion mass of 101. That's because we are adding one proton which has a mass of approximately 1 daltons. Now if we are working in negative mode and our true mass is 100, so by subtracting H+, it will give us 99 daltons. Some common adducts include H+, where the addition is 1 daltons, ammonium addition, where 18 daltons is added to your molecule. Then there is sodium addition, where it adds 23 daltons to your molecules. These added charge species are called as adducts. So the key takeaway here is that in positive mode, you're adding mass, and in negative mode, you're subtracting mass. Understanding this is fundamental to interpreting mass spectrometry data correctly. So alternate ionization technique to ESI would be atmospheric pressure chemical ionization. It is best suited for thermal stable sample with low to medium molecular weight, that is less than 1500 daltons, and medium to high polarity. Unlike ESI, APCI involves a higher energy process and does not tend to form multiplied charged ions. So in ESI, higher molecular weight, polar and ionizable compounds are used, whereas in APCI, lower molecular weight, less polar compounds are used. So let's talk about multiple reaction monitoring and triple quadrupole. So multiple reaction monitoring, also called as MRM, it is a method used in tandem mass spectrometry where an ion of a particular mass is selected in the first stage. Then that particular mass, it undergoes fragmentation and a product ion is selected in the second stage for detection. So the precursor and product ion pair is called an MRM transition. So let's look at how the triple quadrupole works. A quadrupole mass analyzer, that is Q1, it isolates the precursor ion of interest, which is then fragmented in the collision cell, that is Q2, to yield product ions that are filtered in Q3 for detection. So as you can see in the picture, Q1, called as first quadrupole, selects your precursor ion based on the mass to charge ratio. Q2, it fragments precursor ion via collision induced dissociation. And in third quadrupole, it filters specific product ions for detection. Typically, 3 to 4 fragments per peptide are monitored. with one product ion for quantitation and another for qualitative identification. Now let's talk about key parameters for compound optimization. First is declustering potential, that is dP. Now this corresponds to the voltage applied to the orifice to minimize solvent clusters that may remain on sample ions after they enter the vacuum chamber. Ions are accelerated to acquire enough energy to knock off remaining solvent molecules. So this dP is applied before any fragmentation, and this is dependent on the parent ion transition. Typically, this dP ranges from 20 to 100 volt for positive ions. However, unnecessarily high potential may induce unwanted fragmentation that can affect your linearity. Now, second one is collision energy. So, collision energy is the potential difference between Q0 and Q2 collision cell. Precursor ion receive this energy and accelerate into collision cell where they collide with gas molecules and form fragment ions. So the higher the collision energy, there is more fragmentation. It ranges from minus 300 to 300 volt depending on the polarity. An improved formula for prediction is collision energy is equal to 0.043 into precursor ion mass to charge plus 2.25. Though experimental optimization is always better. So the third key parameter in compound optimization is collision cell exit potential. Now in this, we focus on how to accelerate and transmit ions out of Q2 into Q3. This is only used in MS-MS type scans. Now the additional parameters that are used for compound optimization is entrance potential and collision gas. So in entrance potential, it is applied to guide and focus ions through Q0 region, typically 10 volt for positive ion and minus 10 volt for negative ions. It has minor effect on optimization. So in collision gas, that is CAD, it aids in fragmenting precursor ions. When precursor ions collide with collision gas, they dissociate to form product ions. Now let's learn about scan mode for optimization. First one is Q1 scan, that is precursor ion selection. This scan mode enables selection of mass to charge range to confirm the presence of desired precursor ions. So here we establish the exact mass to charge of all precursors and determine the optimal dP and exit potential. In product ion scan, it would determine the exact mass to charge ratio of product ions. This is where optimal collision energy and collision exit potential values are established. So in MRM mode, it monitors each parameter for selected transition, establishing optimal curtain gas, collision gas and voltage settings. So practical consideration and best practices while optimizing your compound would be that you have to select a wide mass range. That is, if your true mass of your molecule is somewhere about 610, then there is chances of addition of sodium adducts as well. So you need a wide range between 608 to 625 so that you don't miss out if your molecule has added sodium adduct ions. So optimization approach. Mostly you get data from literature, but optimization on your specific LCMS instrument is essential. Tuning using standards results in an average 11.4-fold increase in sensitivity compared to non-optimized parameter. Therefore, you need to optimize your molecule on your instrument. Now, while optimization of your compound, you all can either go by infusion or by LC based optimization. Now, optimization using LC column separation under conditions as close to the final method as possible is recommended. This provides increased robustness due to better separation from potential interferences and compound optimization under relevant mobile phase condition for adduct formation. Additional source parameters where you can enhance your sensitivity would be drying gas temperature, flow rate for dissolution process, and nebulizer pressure for nebulization efficiencies. So to summarize this, compound optimization is about systematically finding optimal MS/MS parameters, declustering potential for ion dissolution, collision energy for controlled fragmentation, collision exit potential for ion transmission to maximize signal intensity, and selectivity for your target analyte. While this adds an extra step to method development, your detection limits will suffer without it. This optimization creates the foundation for successful chromatography and source optimization that follow. In part 2, we'll discuss chromatography optimization and achieving optimal separation for your analytes. I hope you liked this video, and if you have any questions regarding this video, please do drop in the comment section. Thank you.